In your life, you may encounter a lot of things that will try to stop you from changing, reinventing, and growing. Very often, the biggest bottlenecks to your future success are not the future challenges, but the burdens of the past that you carry with yourself. We all collect and carry forward a lot of mental and emotional baggage that weighs us down unknowingly. The past can pull us down like gravity. The baggage we carry often makes us helpless and hopeless. People who are chronically unhappy and dissatisfied with their life carry tons of regrets with themselves, like that of missed opportunities, losses, failures, misfortunes, rejections, and dejections. How do we identify the baggage that we carry? Let's categorize it and see for ourselves if we are still carrying them. We will begin by looking at what type of mental baggage most people tend to carry with them. Mental baggage. A majority of people carry certain mental baggage that makes it even harder for them to disconnect themselves from their clinging past. Regrets are more about the things you did not do rather than about the things you have done. You might wish that you had more courage, patience, or a better long-term vision to handle the things that you previously handled poorly. When you look back, you might feel that you didn't utilize your time or potential in the best possible way. Ultimately, you feel bad about the things you did or did not do at a certain point of life.
Regrets can become a mental playback loop of recurring thoughts. Regret is a feeling and it's also an emotion, but it's not a bad emotion. There's a hidden message when you feel regretful. We feel regretful about the things we did or we did not do. So if you haven't done what you're supposed to do, then regret is more like a moral or a value correction. For example, you're supposed to help a friend in need and you did not help that friend. Now you feel guilty and regretful about it. Or you did something that you should not have done. Here, regret acts more like a behavioral correction. Regrets are felt for a reason, to serve you, to be more human. But if you can handle that emotion of regret wisely, it can turn into guilt, sadness, disappointments, and shame. Regrets can become a baggage when you allow regrets to become something that can alter your self-esteem and self-worth. You regret about doing something bad, but if you dwell in that feeling for too long, you tend to think and feel like you are a bad person. When it alters your identity, regrets can become a baggage that you carry.
One of the heaviest mental baggage people carry is the idea of their identity, which they think is not good enough. This happens when you continue to judge yourself by the way you used to judge yourself in the past. While doing so, you forget that you are capable of evolving in your choices, capabilities, and different capacities. You don't need to be so hard in judging yourself for the mistakes you once made in the past.
You know that thing that sometimes we all have done at some point, this judging thing that happens inside of our brain, inside of our minds, where you might be constantly telling yourself, you're not enough. What kind of judgments do you come up with within your own consciousness? You're not enough, you'll never make it, you're too fat, you're too short, your hair's too curly, your hair's too straight, you're not light enough, you're not dark enough, you're not intelligent enough, you're not rich enough, you're not this enough, you're not enough. Ultimately, the root of all judgment stems to the biggest lie of all that we've been sold, the lie that has been perpetuated by the media and passed down to us from generations. The deepest lie that is at the root of all judgment is the lie that you are fundamentally not enough, that there is fundamentally something wrong with you, that just who you are as you are is not okay.
Your self-worth can improve by merely bringing a shift in your thinking, especially the way you talk to and about yourself. It will benefit you greatly if you learn to switch from the voice of an inner critic to an inner cheerleader. Another popular mental baggage most people carry once they cross their midlife is popularly known as the midlife crisis. If you are experiencing some sort of midlife crisis at this point, you are likely to feel that the goals that you had set years ago are not fulfilled yet. You start to feel like you have failed in achieving your ambitions and dreams. It's like you missed the timeline that you had set for achieving success.
Very often we get the urge to go back in time to fix certain things, like in a time machine or something. But the fact is that you can't go back and change what happened in the past. And the irony is that most people waste so much of their life wishing for a better past. The truth of the matter is that you can't undo the past, but you can change the way you feel about what happened. You can change the narrative and the story of how an event has impacted you. Dwelling in regret is not a solution to any problem, and living in the past can only steal away your present moments, your precious present moments. So learn to focus on the present and do what is possible right now. Make peace with what happened. The past may be through with you, but you may not be through with the past. To get rid of regret, you need to shift your thinking. Instead of dwelling on the regrets associated with the past, think about the numerous possibilities of the future. Bottom line, having regrets means that you're living in the past. But the past, remember this, only exists in your minds. It's history and it's over. It doesn't have the power over your life or your future unless you give the power to do so.
Emotional baggage.
Yeah, emotional baggage. Yeah. So what that is, it's like, imagine if you can, having these bags hanging off of you, weighing you down. Except the weight's on your mind. Inside of these battered old bags is a mix of negative, unprocessed, unresolved emotions that we haven't quite come to terms with yet. And as that baggage piles up, we continue to drag it with us as it weighs us down. And it begins to dictate our experience in our present reality. Before we know it, it begins to spread like a virus, putting this dark and pessimistic filter over what otherwise would be a pretty good life that we live. And sometimes that baggage is us projecting our worries about the future here into the present, and find ourselves carrying baggage from an experience that has not and may not ever actually exist. It's kind of crazy, right? See, there's a Chinese proverb that states, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. And if you're at peace, you're living in the present. Now look, we can't ignore or get rid of our past. It shapes and determines who we are today. But we can come to terms with it so it doesn't cloud our present. I found that a major key to dealing with emotional baggage is distinguishing between what happened in our past and the story we tell ourselves about what happened in the past. If that person broke up with you, the story you may tell yourself is that you weren't a good person. What actually happened is they just ended the relationship. If you did bad in school, the story you may tell yourself is that you're dumb or that you're not as smart as everybody else. What actually happened is you just don't do good with tests. See, what happened is what happened, but it's us that puts a meaning or a story on it that may or may not actually be there. To move forward in life, we're going to have to release these burning thoughts and let that emotional baggage burn. Sometimes you'll fall short, but you keep trying. And in some cases, even use it as fuel to motivate and inspire us to move forward in life. You'll feel more and more weight being lifted off of you until the point where there's no more baggage holding you down from living your life today that you were meant to live.
Emotional baggage describes all of those unresolved emotional issues, traumas, and stresses from the past that occupy your mind and even your body. And another way to describe this is your emotional backpack. So just imagine all of your relationships, events of the past, and your present shoved into this backpack. Does it feel nice and light, or can you feel it pulling at your shoulders and weighing you down? Maybe to the point that you can't move forward. So if not managed, emotional baggage can affect our relationships, work, health, and our happiness. Happiness right now and even future happiness. Emotional baggage also affects our energy levels because the more we're carrying around, the more fatigued we feel. It also affects the feelings we have about ourselves. But maybe you're just having a bad day and it's not emotional baggage. Well, feelings from a bad day, such as an argument or a bad day at work, should be gone after a good night's sleep or so. But emotional baggage will stick around, affecting how we feel long term and even affect what we do or the decisions we make. So have a check-in with yourself right now to see if you're carrying around any excess baggage that may be affecting you.
We humans are emotional sponges that absorb memories of both good and bad. As you move ahead in the journey of life, you can carry all the baggage with you. It's wiser to carry only those baggages that are useful for your journey. Yet most people hold on to their hurtful memories that weigh them down. Carrying emotional baggage makes us vulnerable. A narrative of victimhood, trauma, hurt, or pain can make us more woundable than invincible. All it takes is a trigger to snap back to a recorded memory of any suffering. Remember, our body keeps the score. So, what is this baggage? We can name this baggage as unresolved emotions which are lying dormant within us. The strongest are the ones of resentment and hatred towards yourself and others. The antidote to this is to cultivate a forgiving mind. Another type of baggage is hurt and pain. And these are embedded so deep in our mind that they have the capacity to wound you over and over again. Just a mere recollection of them is just enough to trigger your body and mind, ultimately leading you to go just out of balance. Some other stronger versions of emotional baggage are shame and embarrassment. These hold the power to paralyze you or to empower a part of you to get better, depending on how you decide to deal with them in the first place. It's important to spot emotional baggage and to identify if you're carrying them or not. Let's do a small recollection. If you're going through a traumatic event like abuse, rape, domestic violence, or physical trauma, then chances are you're holding on to its negative impact if you have not resolved them completely. If you're constantly referring to our past hurts, telling sobbing stories to oneself and to others and ruminating over them, then chances are we are carrying some kind of heavy baggage. If you live a life of comparison, thinking others lead a better life than you do, then surely there is baggage. If you make comparison in relationship, especially comparing your new partner with your ex, then there is certainty that the baggage is still there. If you have trust issues and it is hard for us to trust people, then there is surely a data of wrong people who have wronged you, which is stopping you from growing any new relationship. Keeping yourself emotionally distant and emotionally unavailable to other people is also a sign that we have the baggage and we are not released or we have dealt with these unpleasant emotions. Commitment issues and being paranoid about people and the idea that nobody is reliable or dependable is also a strong sign that we are carrying emotional baggage from our previous relationship with people. The feeling of insecurity, that some kind of danger is clouded above our relationship, is also a sign that the baggage is not just a lesson that we learned, but a bundle of unresolved emotions that are still there. If you get easily provoked, irritated or annoyed and easy to get into a bad mood, then it's a sign that you have unsettled emotions and those are waiting for a trigger to wake up and scream. People with emotional baggage are also terrified of the idea of living alone or being alone because they can't handle themselves. They don't enjoy their own company because there is nothing beautiful for them to recall or to revisit. We all have some kind of emotional baggage. One of the best ways is to let go of the baggage is through the practice of unconditional acceptance. Now, acceptance is being able to experience an event, memory, or action without emotion and without any expectation. When you truly accept something for what it is, You're not tied to changing the outcome, nor do you wish that never happened or did happen. You accept for what it is. And once you accept it, you no longer resist it. You transcend that experience. Thereby you can turn your scars into stars, your hurts into healing. I know it may sound as easy as it sounds, but sometimes you can take professional help, or you can resort to techniques like emotional freedom technique or EFT.
Now, you can think of emotional baggage as all of the negative thoughts and feelings, and yes, even obsessions that take away your energy. Physical, mental, and even emotional energy. One of the biggest reasons that you might be hanging on to emotional baggage is that it's crept in so slowly you might not even realize that you're toting this load, and yet it saps your energy, it takes away your enthusiasm, and it even squashes your hope for the future. So when you're ready to let this burden down, here's what to do next. Write down 3 things: who you are, what you want, and what it takes to get it. Here's why. When you're ready to let down this emotional baggage and you want it to stick, you want it to stay down, you're going to find yourself with so much renewed energy and focus that you're going to want something to come in to take its place, something that's compelling and exciting for you so that you're intrinsically motivated to keep that burden down. So remember what I always tell my clients: you are worthy. You are worthy of the full expression of your potential, but you deserve what you settle for. So go ahead and put that burden down, because you are worthy of so much more.
Social baggage. It is something that we carry because it's placed up on us by others. Sometimes we live a life that is focused on following others' expectations.
Living a life on others' terms can become a burden, and hence the baggage. It could be the expectations of your parents, spouse, or your boss trying to override what you truly want. This is not your life, because here you are not living your dream. And when you continue to do so, others' dream can become your nightmares. When life is lived on someone else's design and expectation, it can become your social baggage. So how do we get over this social baggage? For overcoming this obstacle, first, you need to revisit your dreams and aspirations. Take a stock of the things that you used to enjoy in the past, the dreams and aspirations that you nurtured once. It can be anything that you loved to do as a child. Recollect all those things and let them linger in your mind. It's important because when life serves you with an opportunity for self-expression and self-expansion, you must also seize the moments that support it. If you're true to your dream, goals, and aspirations, and if you can guard it and protect it, you can respond to life's hidden opportunities more proactively.
Besides, it's important to know who you are, not the version others gave you or the version that the different experiences of your life have taught you. You can be a version of yourself that's different from what you thought you were familiar with. Self-knowledge and self-awareness are the keys to reinventing your life. Here, you know who you are, where you are, and know more clearly where you want to go. So, dare to dream your dream. Live life on your terms. One of the strongest steps to achieve this is to bring your values, belief, and habits in unison, to get them aligned with your vision of life.
Also, many times we fall into work and we start getting into creating habits in our lives that are not aligned with our core values. And what happens there is that, if you're unconsciously just operating out of habit, out of that past programming, then, days can turn into weeks and turn into months. But if you take a step back at some point in your life and you actually start thinking about what you're doing with your life, you actually realize that maybe that priority or that time you allocated to a work or to a relationship, to living in that city, to doing that with your free time, it wasn't really aligned with your highest values and your highest priorities. You kind of feel disillusioned, you feel a little bit of regret, and that can be a downward spiral that you want to avoid. So why not take time often to just figure out what those core values and priorities are? They might shift over your life. So from time to time, figure out, hey, what am I doing with my life? Who am I becoming? Who do I want to be a year from now, 5 years from now? What do I want to be doing with my life? And is it what I'm doing now, is that moving me closer to that, or is it moving me farther away? So just having that conscious awareness is key.
Power of values, beliefs, and habits.
Our lives are altered by the decisions we take. Our decisions are majorly influenced by the value system. In order to change the nature of your decisions, firstly, you must understand your values in order of their hierarchy and importance. If your value is to survive, or if the most important value in life is just to get by, then you will make major life decisions in accordance with that. But if you want to rule the world, or you want to become the best in your industry, in your field, you will make decisions that will support you to achieve that goal. If you value health, you will take decisions that support your health. If you value money, you will take decisions accordingly. When you prioritize, what you prioritize becomes your top decisions in life. That's how powerful your values are. Whatever might be your aspirations, you need to build beliefs and values that are congruent with what you want to achieve in life. The same goes with your habits too. If your current habits are conflicting with your aspirations, accomplishing your goals will just remain as a pipe dream. For example, you can't guarantee yourself to become a self-made millionaire if you're just watching mindless television for hours every day. Contradictory. Therefore, coherence is the key for success. Your habits must be in alignment with your values. A coherent life is a life that is lived in a way where you can clearly connect the dots between three things. One, knowing who you are with all your strengths and weaknesses. Second, knowing what you believe in and the values that determine your beliefs. And finally, being aware of what you're doing, your habits and behaviors. The opposite of coherence is contradiction. For example, when your values contradict with your actions, you are living a life of contradiction. This creates inner conflict, confusion, and dilemma in life. To live with clarity, you need to be coherent with what you believe and what you do.
To make some changes and clear the path, you must first identify what's stopping you and let go of them completely. You need to let go of the past and embrace the future.
Let go of the baggage. You're never going to touch the full rim of your potential if you're weighted down by baggage from your elementary school years, your high school years, your college years, these last 4 years. Listen, the last chapters of the book, you gone through them, you finished them, you flipped the page, you got a new chapter here. And you have to be willing to break from the past to have the future you so desperately desire. You have to have the courage to allow yourself to honor the past as it was, to forgive those who need to be forgiven, to forgive yourself, and to acknowledge that everything led you to this point now. Everything. Those crappy times, those times when you're depressed, those times when you gave up on yourself, those times when someone else gave up on you, those times that you gave up on others, the times that you quit, the times that you failed, the times that you felt so small, you were embarrassed. Those times don't live in this moment. And the more of those times that you cultivate in your mind and you ruminate on and you think and you self-talk on and you revisit in your mind, the more disempowering times from the past, hurtful times from the past, failures from the past that you keep running in your head, what that is doing is that is taking up the very free space necessary for the bold ideas to come in. It's taking up the space for the very needed white space for creativity to come in, for the dreams to come in, for the best you to speak through from. Like, it's hard for you to live an authentic and true and vulnerable and real life if you're always speaking through your baggage, if you're always thinking through your baggage. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, everyone's got different baggage. Maybe your baggage is your divorce or that last job. They are not relevant today. And the only reason they're relevant today is if either you allow them to be relevant from those situations or those persons revisiting you, or you're running the same old story. You're running the same old excuses. Yeah, I can't do this because I suck at relationships. No, you sucked at relationships 10 years ago. Well, I can't do this because, I failed. Yeah, 6 months ago. Today's a new day, homie. Like, you gotta access this day, dude. This day is fresh. This day is clean. This day woke up, showered, ready, prepped for you by the universe or spirit or God or luck or cosmos, whatever you want to call it. This day says to you when you wake up in the morning, the day whispers to you, do not fear me, for I have been brought here for you. You don't fear the day. That day has been brought here for you. And when you have real reverence for life, when you have a deep gratitude and appreciation, I like a deep gratitude and appreciation for life, you don't hold on to a lot of yesterdays.
Remember this, your past does not equal the future. Your past is a collection of recorded memories of experiences or imagined experiences that you have had. But your future, it can be shaped better by bringing in a brand new version of life.